I'm Mary Susie from Bead Me a Story, and today I'm going to be showing you the diagonal rope chain. I just want to show you that this is a stretchy bracelet, and you can just roll it onto your wrist. It'll stretch right over your hand, so you can make this to fit your wrist as opposed to something that will go over your hand. I did a couple new kits in this. This is the Mermaid color one. It's white with a matte lavender and a sky blue. And then this one is Aqua Seafoam with a light rose pink and yellow. And just doing some colors for summer in this, but you can do this in all sorts of different colors. Here's a couple darker ones that I've done in the past. This one's navy, red, and silver, so this one would be great for 4th of July colors. And this one was burgundy with gold and silver. So just so you can see some darker colors, this particular weave looks great in any color you want to do it in. I have done this before, but I'm doing this in a 7.25 millimeter O-ring, and the jump rings in this are 18 gauge 3/16 SWG, so this is a little bit larger and ideal for the beginner or even a first-time beginner to try. As long as you follow the video and the instructions carefully, there's no reason that you shouldn't be able to do this even if you don't have a whole lot of chainmail experience. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So to make the diagonal rope chain, the first thing I have is 7.25 millimeter O-rings. So I have made the diagonal rope before, and I did it in 5 millimeter O-rings, which are much, much smaller than these. So this is much more of a beginner lesson on this. These will be much easier sizes to work with. And then I have 18 gauge 3/16 jump rings, and these are pretty close in size to one another. Jump rings a bit skinnier than the O-ring, and just a touch bigger, but they're pretty close in size. And you can use the same size rings if you're going to do this in all metal. Okay, so I am going to take a jump ring. I'm going to pick up 1, 2, 3 O-rings. So I call this diagonal rope. I will let you know right now that this is also known as Prejudiced Rhinos. And I think in some ways that might be a little bit of a misnomer, as Rhino Snorting Drano relates to like a barrel weave kind of situation. And I am going to add the little barrels into this particular diagonal rope, but in the other one I do, it's just diagonal. And what I would classify this as is more of a European 3-in-1 that's done horizontally. So I do have in my European section of videos, I have a European 3-in-1 that I did vertically, and that is a very interesting weave to learn. But you can see here that as I start this, there's 2 on one side, and then there's 1 on the other side, okay? And that's why I actually would consider this more of a horizontal European 3-in-1, even though I know in the chainmail world this is known as Prejudiced Rhinos. And you'll see why as we go along. When we get later on and we start adding some barrel or rhinos, snorting drano situations, you'll see how that relates. Okay, so this is my 2 on the left, 1 on the right. I put it on a paper clip. Before I start adding anything, let me just point out the fact that pay attention to how your paper clip is sitting. So my little outside piece is at the top, and that's going to be very important. If you accidentally lay this down upside down and start working on it, it's going to look very similar to you, and you might try and continue, and the weave is going to go really wonky on you. So with this one, the main reason I put the paper clip on the start is not to hold things in place. It's so that I know what's up and what's down, what's back and what's front, okay? So I'm gonna take my next jump ring, and I'm gonna go down through the one on the right, up through the top one on the left, and then I'm going to add another O-ring on the right. So you can see ultimately this jump ring has 2 O-rings on the right and 1 on the left, which is why I consider this a European 3-in-1. Okay, and then like I said, pay attention to where that paper clip is, how it's laying, because you'll notice my jump ring was tilted up when we started. So this O-ring is underneath the one that's above it. And with every row, it's going to be like that too. And it's very important that you stay consistent with how everything is laying. Okay, so now we're gonna do the same thing. We're just gonna go up through the 2. We're gonna add 1 new O-ring, and we're gonna close the jump ring. Okay, and then I'm gonna add another jump ring. I'm gonna go down through the one on the right, up through just the top one on the left, and then I'm gonna add a new O-ring to the right-hand side, okay? So ultimately, when we're finished, this jump ring is passing through these 2 out here and the top one over here. Okay, this is very simple. I'm just gonna do 1 more row, and then we're going to go, you're gonna go continue to your desired length, and then I will be back to show you how to finish the chain and then how to add the additional little slashes we're gonna add with some square wire jump rings. Okay, so 2 on the left, 1 on the right. And just real quick, I'll just show you, you can do this too. If you wanna pay attention to 2 on the right, 1 on the left, I can pick up the O-ring first, go down through the one on the right, up through the one on the left, and close. Okay, so you can see that we have a diagonal slant going on. This is on the bias. I'm gonna continue to basically 22 rows for me. So there is a size chart in the kits to tell you exactly how many rows. For me, for a 6.5-inch wrist, this is about 44 rows that we're gonna do. You do have to make sure that you're doing an even number of rows in order for this particular version to work, okay? So let's continue on and I'll be back to show you more. Okay, so as you can see, I have finished the length of this, and I just want you to notice my paper clip is still face up. I'm making a big point of this because when I first started doing this, I was not doing this, and you wouldn't believe how many times this got messed up. So honestly, if you turn it upside down, or if you start working from the wrong side because you lay it down and walk away, it really can be difficult to get it back orientated again. So this is finished, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lay this all out flat, okay? I'm gonna take my next jump ring that I plan to add, and I'm gonna pass it through these 2. So just like we've been doing, we're going through the 2 on the end, and then we would be adding a new one. But at this point, I'm going to pull my paper clip off, okay? And I'm gonna make sure everything remains flat as I bring this around. And then you'll notice that this one on the bottom is sticking out. So I know I'm on track, okay? So I'm just gonna link to that bottom one. So instead of adding a new one, just link to the bottom one. Okay. And then I'm going to take my final jump ring, and I'm gonna pass down through the top and the bottom that were on the right, or really they were the very beginning of the bracelet that came off the paper clip, and then through just the top one that is to the left. Okay, so through 2 over here and 1 over here. Okay, and that is basically our diagonal rope chain. But we are going to turn this into Prejudiced Rhinos in just a second here. And basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a square wire jump ring to every other row of jump rings. Okay, so not every single one. It gets a little bit too tight that way. But we're gonna add little flashes of bling, I would say. Okay, so what you need to do is go down through the jump ring on the bottom, and actually I didn't grab one that was, I like to open my jump rings a little bit too much for this, so a little bit more than usual to get this happening, so that, let me open this a little bit more, still not enough, because basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna just shove this backwards through both of these. So I try and get it through the bottom one first, and then turn it a little bit so I can push it through the top one. Okay, and see, that's it coming out the back. And then I'm gonna close this jump ring. Okay, and then see, that's what that looks like. So I'm gonna skip this next one. And like I said, we'll be doing this every other one. So let me just open that a little bit extra. Try and get it down through the bottom. Well, that one just wants to come around. So you can just go around in a circle too, if that's what's working for you. That wanted to work that time, so that's fine. And then close that ring. Okay. So we're just gonna do this the whole way around on every other jump ring. And then I'll show you how this is going to look when it's done. Okay, and so this is the finished product of the mermaid colored bracelet, and you can see that I put the square jump rings on every other set of jump rings in this. You can see that this is a very skinny weave, and I will mention that this also makes a great necklace too. You can do a very long necklace chain out of this. My only caution is if you do that, you're definitely going to want to have a very, very heavy pendant on the center of the necklace. So I did this with some big lampwork flowers, some big glass flowers that were very heavy. So as long as you have a nice weight to your centerpiece, this works great as a necklace chain as well as a bracelet chain. And of course it's gonna stretch, so it's gonna be forgiving any way that you wanna wear it. Okay, so thanks so much for joining me today. And be sure to like and follow me on YouTube. And of course, all of the items that you see here, kits as well as the supplies, are available at beadmeastory.com. Thanks so much.